Yeah, we're good to go now. Okay. 1 second.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, Jameson, you're okay.
Oh, great. Thank you, Waudo.
Welcome. Secretary, to let me know when you're done.
Sorry, we're still waiting for one speaker to come on. I don't know if Mr. Kaede has information on him.
We've already taken the photograph, and I was just thinking that, Mr. Tola Sogbesan will be able to join us, but since he's not here, I think we can go on with the session.
We can proceed?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We can turn off the video, right?
You want to turn off?
We can turn off the video now. All right, thank you.
Yeah, if you want to save your bundles, you can turn off your videos now. So thank you. So this particular session, we are going to talk about Icann, which is the body that is responsible for the naming and numbering of the internet, and within the big subject, we shall also be talking about data protection and online safety, as the chair has told us. Now we have a panel. I'm going to give them about a minute each, just to introduce themselves, so that we can know the people that will be giving us more insights into these two issues of Icann and also data protection and online safety. So can we please have the panelists? I don't have their names here. I don't know. Secretariat, can you help us on that one? To guide the panelists to introduce themselves, Secretariat?
Okay, I think the first person should be Miss Arinola Akinyemi. Can go ahead, ma'am. Thank you.
Arinola, please introduce yourself.
Hello, good day, everybody. My name is Arinola Akinyemi, CEO DigiSphere Ltd, a member company of the Icann business constituency. Happy to be here.
Welcome. Secretariat?
You can go over to Mr. Kileo now.
Mr. Kileo?
Hello, everyone. This is Yusuph Kileo speaking. I'm so happy to see my good friend, Dr. Waudo Siganga. I'm actually a security and digital forensics investigation expert. And a part of being a board member for AfICTA, I'm also a secondary representative to BC Icann, meaning I'm working very closely with Dr. Waudo Siganga and representing AfICTA to BC Icann. And I'm also my boss when it comes to AfICTA, because he's the VC East Africa, and he will agree with me that I'm supporting him most of the time. We work closely, making sure that our eastern part of Africa is fully taking part to AfICTA. So I think I'll be with you to this particular panel discussion, joining them with others as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretariat, any more panelists?
Mr. Simi is in the chat. I don't know if you'll be able to be promoted as a panelist now. Sorry, he's an attendee. Mr. Timmy, are you available?
I didn't capture the name.
Otherwise, we can go ahead with just the people on chat. Mr.
I think we'll also be. Pardon?
I say otherwise we can go ahead with the people in the panelists currently. And when Mr. Tola comes
I think we'll also hopefully with his permission also utilize the deep knowledge of Dr. Jameson as we go along. So welcome to the panelists. I think I was also expecting Mason Cole, the chair of the BC, Is he going to join us in the session?
Not coming on this session, sir.
He'll be on a different session.
Yes, he was on the opening session yesterday.
Okay. All right. So I don't know whether you have had a chance also to thank the BC for sponsoring the summit, maybe in the within the opening session. But I think it's good. I can also, maybe if you have already done it, I can also just reassert it here that the business constituency has actually sponsored the summit to a good extent. It's not the first time; it was also done last year. So I think as AfICTA, I think we are very grateful to the business constituency in Icann for supporting the work that we are doing and making sure that our summit is successful this year, as well as what they did last year. Despite the summit being a virtual summit, there is always expenses that are incurred. So I think we're grateful, and I'll pass back the gratefulness of AfICTA to the BC once we meet afterwards. So thank you very much to the BC. Now back to Icann. I think first of all we can just talk generally about Icann and the work that it's doing, and how it is useful for people in Africa to maybe participate in the work of Icann. If I can call on any of the two panelists, maybe we can start with Arinola. You have been working with Icann for quite a period of time. Maybe you can just tell us shortly, in brief, what the work that Icann is doing and why it is relevant for us in Africa, why we should also participate in that work. Arinola. You are muted, Arinola.
Okay, thank you, Waudo. Can you hear me loud and clear now? Uh-oh.
Yes,
I
we
cannot
can.
hear you. Okay. All right. The Icann is simply an acronym for the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. And we are in the business constituency as business entities and business owners. And AfICTA also happens to be a member of the Icann BC by virtue of the fact that AfICTA represents the interests of businesses in Africa. Currently, there are quite a number of issues being discussed at the Icann level as it affects the domain name system. And the intervention of businesses from all over the world is quite needed. But currently, the membership from African businesses is quite low. And honestly, it is a bit challenging for us, because if we, the businesses from Africa, are not there, then how will the perspective of the African business as it affects the domain name system in Africa be heard? Currently, there are some burning issues like the domain name DNS abuse, currently put on the table, as was raised by the Icann BC chair yesterday during his keynote. There are other issues of the expedited policy development process, and quite a few others. We as businesses in Africa need to be present there. We need our voices heard, so that we will not have the foreign perspective being peddled as the African perspective. We are here in Africa. We are the ones experiencing the challenges and various obstacles and the uniqueness of Africa cannot be properly harnessed if the African businesses are not properly represented to share their views. The BC welcomes all business users of the internet into its fold, and there are quite a lot of opportunities for us to participate. The BC itself, being the representative of business users of the internet in the Icann ecosystem, will not be complete without the African perspective. There was at the time a study at the BC level of the African domain name system, domain name market. And if we have proper representation, especially for businesses who are deeply involved and rooted in the domain name market, their perspective would have, I believe, would have made that report a lot richer than what we have. And these opportunities are still there for us to be able to participate. So it will be a good idea for us to visit the Icann BC website and try to come on board and be part of the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Arinola. Just to follow on with that, in your participation in the BC and in Icann in general, what challenges have you faced that maybe you feel that as Africa make us come as challenges for us to participate in that process of Icann? Are there any challenges?
Well, apart from in terms of acceptance, the acceptance level is very high. The BC is very welcoming to, and the Icann system generally is welcoming to everybody. The major challenge will be maybe for travel, funding. That for me is about the major challenge, because in terms of onboarding, there's an onboarding program that could easily be a stepping stone for most of us, which is the fellowship program. There is also, like, the BC currently now has an onboarding committee, which is a subcommittee which is working on helping newcomers to come in. Also, there is the online facility, which is the Icann Learn, where you can create a profile and learn more about and how to get involved with the Icann system.
What about the cost? Sorry, what about the cost of joining? Are they prohibitive? If somebody wants to participate, do they have to pay some money?
Yeah, for the BC, yes. As business people, there is nothing that should be done without proper value. But the BC has different categories of membership. However, for developing countries, wherein most African, I think virtually all African countries should fall within that belt, we enjoy 70% discount. 70% discount. An example would be for somebody in the tier 3 membership category, like most SMEs in Africa. When you enjoy the 70% discount, you find yourself paying about $50 as membership fee per annum. So I do not think the cost will be a challenge for the African participation.
Oh, thank you, Arinola. That's very informative. Now, if I can turn over to Yusuph. Yusuph, you are an expert in digital forensics. You are a digital forensics expert, as well as being a member of the business constituency and working in Icann, representing AfICTA. How have you found your participation in Icann helping you to achieve your objectives as a digital forensics expert?
Thank you very much, Dr. Waudo Siganga. Actually, I'm grateful being a part of BC Icann. And you can see that within BC Icann, we have that DNS abuse working group. That basically, from yesterday's presentation, I think we discussed a lot about issues within DNS abuse, and being in the field of cybersecurity and digital forensics, where our daily activities is to deal with cyber criminals, looking at those cyber challenges and coming up with solutions, different problems related to cyber crimes. So DNS abuse working group happened to be one of the very beneficial to me, because I keep learning new things every now and then. The contribution of Icann in resolving those DNS abuse challenges, setting up those policies, how we are going to make sure that our cyber space or the DNS is actually, when people are utilizing these website and different site across the globe, are actually utilizing it in a safe way, trying to minimize the story of scams or those phishings, those DNS catching sort of crimes and so on. So I've been capturing a lot of things, and I will just find it a little bit. I know that we need to do a lot because I think the group is active, but a lot need to be also done to make sure that at least we meet a certain good target. But apart from that, I've also get to meet a lot of people in the field of cybersecurity, and I keep getting to learn from them every now and then, because I think we in the field of cybersecurity, we normally believe in continuous learning every now and then, because if we don't learn, because this cyberspace or the technology keep changing very fast. So meeting different people with different ability and capability to come up with strong and concrete solutions, different cyber challenges within Icann, I happen to be I happen to feel very fortunate to be a part of it. So that's a brief that I could say that I've benefited being a part of Icann, and I believe as the time goes on, I will learn more. I will be able to contribute more, to make to bring more positive impact, especially to this DNS abuse working group. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuph. Maybe just to proceed on that one, this issue of DNS abuse, do you think it's a big issue in Africa, or it is something more relevant to the Western world? DNS abuse, now that we're talking about data protection and online safety, does it apply to Africa, where maybe the internet penetration is not so high? What is your view about the impact of DNS abuse in Africa?
Well, I would normally have, I would say,
maybe. Sorry, Yusuph. Maybe you could also define DNS abuse for maybe those of us on the call who might not be very familiar with it.
Dr. Wood, I think yesterday you did not. We had the full session discussing about DNS abuse and the challenges around it, and how do we resolve those challenges, mitigating those challenges yesterday. And I think we spoke at length about this particular area. But starting with the first question, we have our saying that cyber crime are borderless crime. So if a phishing attack can be initiated from any country and can impact any other country as well. So we in Africa are saying that, for example, we have less penetration, or we do have less number of people that are utilizing internet does not make us immune when it comes to these DNS abuses or any other cybercrime as well. So from that point of view, I believe that if something is happening in the Western or in Asia or any other part of the world, we also in Africa have to make sure that we take precautions so that it won't really become one of our major challenges in the future. I'll give you one good example. The other time there was what we call ATM jackpotting. ATM jackpotting, whereby cyber criminals are able to make these ATM to split out money without an individual to have an account with that particular bank and so on. So that was happening in the US and Mexico those time. And I remember I was interviewed with several medias in Tanzania, and I spoke about it. And many people thought that it will not be able to happen in our African countries because that is something that we cannot imagine that it can happen in our African country. And unfortunately, the same incident happened in Kenya, affecting one of the bank that probably I shouldn't mention the name of it. And around 3 million were taken out by cyber criminals using the same technique. And I get back and tell my colleagues and people in our working group saying that anything that happened in another country or another continent, it doesn't mean that it will not come to our doorstep and cause the same damage to our African continent. So we always have to be very careful. We always have to be on guard, especially learning from others. When something is happening from others, we need to get ourselves prepared. But also, the story of DNS abuse being high or not high in Africa, the truth is we have a lot of challenges related to DNS abuse. We have a lot of phishing attacks happening in our countries. We have a lot of spams. We have a lot of those, I remember we call them Yahoo boys or Yahoo guys, the name that we normally, the nickname that have been given by those scammer or phishing, people that spread phishing attacks in our places. And they normally say, I'm from Burkina Faso, from this, my father, my brother died with cancer, I have this problem, then we can work together, and then later on they collect your data and then cause troubles to your account or your impersonate you and so on and so on. So all those kind of phishing attacks, spams, we have those farming and all those things that I mentioned in DNS abuse, as all those 5 pillars are happening in Africa in a very high way as well. So basically we in Africa, we don't have to think like maybe because of low penetration, our internet penetration, we don't have these particular challenges. Indeed, we have these particular challenges and they're troubling many countries. And I have a lot of examples, a lot of cases that have participated in investigations that really, we can really tell that problem is big. But unfortunately, the difference between us and Western is that we normally don't give out statistics. We normally don't talk much about these things, maybe because of many reasons, maybe lack of awareness, lack of knowledge of these particular challenges, or any other reason. Or some of them, they have reason that they want to protect reputation of the organization, so they don't talk much about these things in Africa. But in the Western, we hear a lot because they talk. They give us statistics. They keep telling us what is happening. If Facebook is down today, you will hear the news. Yesterday, I was following the story of Spa. Some of their stores were end up shut down because of cyber attacks, and they come out and say that we have challenges related to cyber attacks, and then our stores we end up shutting down some of our stores. So they give out statistics, they talk about these things because they understand and they want to come up with solutions so that they can have a solution to their challenges. But we in Africa, we don't really talk much about these things. And that's why you can hear people thinking like, for example, we don't have these challenges, or maybe this is not one of the things that really affects our institutions, our organizations in Africa. And it's a Western things, but the truth is it's not a Western things. Dr. Waudo, Siganga, and everyone else who is listening, that this is our problem, this is a global challenge, and it's really affecting many countries across the globe, all countries across the globe.
Thank you, Yusuph. Now there's somebody is asking in the chat if somebody would like to participate in this Icann subcommittees like this one that deals with DNS abuse. Is it possible? How can they do it? Is somebody who's not maybe a member of the BC or Icann, or somebody who's just a member of AfICTA? Is it possible for them to bring their input or their way in onto whatever is happening in that subcommittee?
Yeah, of course, because these things we involve. Yesterday even we spoke about these things. It's all about collaboration. We collaborate with different stakeholders, with everyone that can have a contribution to make sure that we understand what is he knows or she knows challenges, and probably have any constructive ideas and knowledge that probably will aid us meeting the target. I think everyone can contribute. It's all about collaboration, joining hands from all angles, from people within Icann, people outside Icann as well can contribute and come up with constructive ideas that they can help us meet our needed target.
Okay, so back to you, Arinola. Maybe you can also tell us about any other subcommittees that are there within either the BC or Icann that you are working with, and what kind of outputs they are having that can be of interest to us here in Africa and in AfICTA in general, in particular. What other subcommittees are there? What groupings are there within the BC and within Icann?
Okay, within the BC, currently we have the onboarding, which is to help for soft landing, to provide a sort of soft landing for incoming members to be able to get into the BC seamlessly, so that they would not have challenges. Though there would always be the challenges of the acronyms, which you also know. So, but at least we'll provide a familiar environment. Also, I would like to attend to that question that was asked on the chat. The participation, as long as the person is a member of AfICTA, I think AfICTA could also look into, since AfICTA has representation already in the working group, they could actually look into making presentation through the representatives of AfICTA to the working group on the position of members of AfICTA as it concerns the DNS abuse, especially with African perspective to it. Also, there's the universal acceptance, which talks about having internationalized domain names, where we on our email addresses being accessible globally. So we could also participate in that. There is for now, I cannot readily come up with one, but I think there are quite a number of opportunities that could also be leveraged on, actually, as it concerns the Icann ecosystem.
And is there any collaboration between the business people from, let's say, the AfICTA members who are in BC? Is there any collaboration between them and other people working in Icann from Africa, but who might not be in the business sphere? For example, there are those ones who are from the civil society. I think they are called at large.
At large, yeah.
Yeah. So in Africa, they have the African at large regional group, and then maybe there's also an Africa engagement I think section within Icann. So my question is there some collaboration that we work together as now people from Africa, but from different perspectives of Africa? Is there any collaboration or any place where we meet as a group?
Yes, definitely there is. There is what we call the AfICTA. That is where all the different stakeholders, the business, the at large, even the government advisory, even the IPC, the AfICTA, that is where we all come together as one from Africa, and we meet actually at every Icann meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then maybe just back to Yusuph, one quick one. Recently, we had an issue of the organization that sells domain names in Africa. I had a problem, I think, with a Chinese company that had bought those domain names. I don't know if any of you had this particular issue, and maybe what if you can just say a word or two about it. Is it a problem for African businesses when we're in a situation like that? You know something about it?
No, I did not hear about that. But what was the issue, Dr. Waudo?
I don't know whether Arinola had something about it. I wouldn't like to ask, maybe if you are not familiar with it. Arinola, you heard something about this?
Yeah, I did see the mail flying across on the AfICTA platform,
Yes.
where something about the IP, the Chinese company getting on the IP. No, I think it should be on the IP. Yes, Icann NG platform, where the AfICTA was mentioning it, and I think the due diligence was done by AfICTA from the perspective of AfICTA being in charge of the IP addresses for Africa. But I really do not have the complete details of that.
So you don't think it's something that African businesses we should worry about in terms of security of our systems, data protection, online safety? African businesses, it's not to that level that we should be worried.
Oh, it should be of something of concern actually for us, because currently we do not have, like the European Union has its own data protection law. In Africa, we're still working on it. Nigeria has one presently that has been in operation since 2019. And I think it will be very important if businesses and the private sector could actually drive in our various countries these laws to take effect and also become a unified African one, just like you have in Europe.
Okay. Thank you very much, Arinola and Yusuph. I think I'll now open questions to the floor to both of you. I think if you like to ask a question, I think you just raise your hand, or if you like to type in a question in the chat, that's quite okay. I can see one question here. I think it is to Kileo. May I request, Kileo, that we engage bilaterally such participation from AfICTA at Icann? I don't know whether that's a question or it's a comment. Kileo, you have been requested that we engage bilaterally participation between AfICTA and Icann. So maybe think about that one. So in case any other question, please raise your hand or type it in the chat. I think if it's a question, maybe indicate that it's a question, maybe with a question mark at the end, so that we can know the questions are from the comments. Any question? Let me see.
I've seen.
I would like to say something. Hello.
Has arrived.
Tola, you have a question?
Yes, Dr. Waudo.
Yes.
Thank you. I was just trying to get a good location for me to. Okay, I think I'm set now. Yeah. Good to see you, Yusuph.
Yes, welcome.
Good intervention so far. Thank you. You've been able to tackle most of the discussion around cybersecurity. So, Dr. Waudo, did you say anything specifically? Yeah. What did you ask specifically? Dr. Waudo,
do you have any
something?
question? That for...
Okay, no question.
No, you can proceed with your question to the panelists.
Tola is one of the.
It's not a question to the panelists per se. He just wants to appreciate after we've gone. I I see Engineer Ola's intervention. I think the bottom line for me is what AfICTA has done in the continent and in Nigeria in particular as the vice chair for West Africa and in charge of Nigeria and other countries. I want to say the BC has been instrumental to making the digital inclusion very, bringing it closer to the people. And yes, just like what you intervened when you're talking about DNS abuse, is one of the areas that I hope in the future will play more emphasis, especially in the advent of 5G. Engineer Ola has DigiSphere works with the youth, and I think that area of capacity building, it will assist most people to understand what the DNS abuse as it relates to cybersecurity and digital inclusion vis-a-vis the 5G deployment that we are expecting in a couple of years. Beyond that, I think I'm okay with our intervention so far. Thank you so much for the good moderation, Dr. Waudo.
Thank you, Tola. Thank you. So, any other questions for our panelists, for Yusuph, Arinola? And by the way, Adetola is also one of the participants, key participants from AfICTA that participates in the BC and in Icann in general. So I think, thank you very much for being one of the people that is really bringing the Icann perspective to the BC.
Thank you.
Adetola. Yeah. Any more questions? Any more questions for the two panelists?
You've got a hand by Segun Olukbide.
Okay, I can't see the hands properly here, so you can always alert me, please, Chair. So Gun, please go ahead.
Hello, sir, my chairman. Good afternoon from Nigeria. Can you hear
Chairman
me?
of the session of AfICTA. Okay, welcome.
The chairman of the session and the chairman of AfICTA. All my chairmen.
Oh, two chairmen.
I salute
welcome.
you, sirs. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Now, I have a question and a comment. And the first, okay, thank you, sir. Let me make the comment first. I've always been hearing about the issue that has to do with statistics. That because we don't have statistics, we're unable to have, you know, a decision, or we're unable to have access to data that could have helped us to at least have an idea about the level of certain issues when it comes to digital economy or the impact of some of these instruments. Now, my question is this: is it not possible for AfICTA to also occupy that space and you know, and provide and drive, you know, the statistics issues for the continent? Is it not possible for AfICTA to add it as another layer of his interventions, so that we can have at least a kind of statistics that we can use, not only for the private sector, but also for the stakeholders across Africa? Because these issues of no statistics is becoming, you know, a big embarrassment whenever we talk about, you know. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Whenever we talked about the policy issues. So I just want to ask a question: that is it not possible for AfICTA to step into that shoe and provide annual statistics and barometers on digital economy or any issues that is brought in that perspective? Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you, Segun. Although that's a bit of a general question, I don't know whether it would be appropriate for our two panelists, that particular question. Maybe I'll refer it to the chair. Oh, I can see Adetola. Hello?
Yeah, if the chair, I can
like to say something?
I can wait Tabo to make intervention as the chair, but okay, let me allow Tabo to speak, then you can comment thereafter.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Tabo, can you say something about AfICTA
Thank you.
taking up the issue of statistics?
Thank you, much appreciated. It's a good a suggestion that will require us to look into. I've put a note on it. I've noted it. It's a challenge that I will put to my board and to see if we've got that capacity to actually deliver on this. It's almost equivalent to a particular challenge we got. I think yesterday there was a challenge that came in to ask if AfICTA cannot maybe also occupy a space of commissioning studies about a myriad of phenomena that are happening in Africa, and I think it's a good suggestion. It will be put forth to the board so as to see if it can form part of our programs. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Segun, and thank you for that very nice answer, Chair. At least we look forward to AfICTA growing and being able to spread out in those areas where we can be able to have statistics and other interventions from the economy that we can give out to other users. Thank you very much. So, any other question? I'm not able to see all the hands here. Any other questions from the floor for the two panelists? Hello. Secretariat, can you tell me if there are any other hands up or any questions on the chat?
Yeah, I just wanted maybe Dr. Waudo to put forth maybe a question just to simplify with regards to the process for SMMEs and other business owners who might be in this call, if for some reason they are not necessarily part of AfICTA, for them to understand what is that process of partaking in the activities of Icann BC. If we can just maybe simplify it for them and say this is the steps in which you need to take for you to partake. Can we maybe just simplify it for them? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Can we come back to you, Arinola, to tell us how can the small organizations, SMEs from Africa, how can they participate in Icann BC? What is the process for them to become members? Arinola, just run over it quickly for us, please.
Okay, I'll be able to do that. First and foremost is to visit the Icann BC website, which is at icannbc.org. icannbc.org. There you will see, and then you can click on the Join Us button. There you will find a checklist.
Sorry, after joining, you'll find what?
Join Us, you will find a checklist. To see if your company, if the SME qualifies to be part of the BC. The moment you are cleared by the checklist, then you go ahead and fill up the form. It's an online application process. Your form once you submit, it will go through the credentials committee, who will then assess you. But a major criteria will be that you should have an online presence. You must have a website because you are meant to be a business user of the internet. So as soon as the assessment is done and your application is reviewed by the credentials committee and it is approved, the invoicing secretariat will send you your bill. You pay, and then you become a member of the BC.
Thank you, Arinola. Thank you. That's quite nice. That's quite straightforward. Thanks for giving us that way of that process of becoming a member. There's another question in the chat. I think it was. Let me just have a look. No, thank you. We have the process also in the chat to become a BC member. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Waudo, and thanks, Arinola, for the answer. Just a follow-up, are there any cost implications?
Arinola, can you run over the costs, please?
Yes, there are cost implications for becoming a member of the BC. There are 3 different categories of membership. You have the tier 1, that's the category 1, which is for big businesses and then some associations. You have, that is about $1,000, but with the 70% discount, it comes to about $300. And you have the category 2, it's basically for associations. That is $500 per annum, and then you get the 70% discount. So that means that the association will be, being from developing countries, you'll be paying about $150. And then you have the category 3, which is for small and medium enterprise. That's for companies who have micro businesses actually, who have fewer than 10 employees, or an annual revenue less than $500,000 US, and which is $200 normally, but with the 70% discount, courtesy of that comes to about $60 per annum. This discounted fee was worked on or was proposed by Dr. James Olufuye when he was the Vice Chair, Finance and Operations for the BC. So, and that is why we enjoy it today. So we're grateful to him for that.
Now, these different membership categories, do they have different benefits within the BC? For example, voting rights and that kind of thing?
Yes, they do. The category 1 enjoys, which is for the macro business enterprises, have more than 10 employees, and their annual revenue also is a minimum of $500,000 US. They enjoy 3 votes for every membership that is in that category. For the category 2, which is basically for associations, they enjoy 2 votes. And for the category 3, which is for the micro businesses, they enjoy 1 vote per membership.
Okay, thank you very much, Arinola. So I can see we are coming to the top of the hour. So very soon, I think we have to close our session. So unless there's an urgent question, any questions still for the 2 panelists? Arinola, any last word you'd like to add in?
Oh yes. For those who would be interested in being a member of the Icann BC and will want to follow up, if you reach out to the secretariat, we might be able to link up with me, and then from there we'll be able to take it off so I can guide you through.
Thanks, Arinola. I think I'll be one of those ones who will be following up on this one. I would like to register my small company with Icann BC so that I can add the votes from Africa there.
Dr. Waudo, for you using our AfICTA platform, you will pay us a percentage as well.
We shall see about that. Thank you. Yusuph, any last word before I close the session?
Well, for me, I will say that the story of data, I will just concentrate on the story of data protections and online safety. I would want to emphasize on one thing, that when it comes to protection of our data and our online presence, it has to begin with an individual, because we don't expect to wait for someone from outside, whether it's an expert in the field, to support you to make sure that you are secure. but it has to begin with you from yourself, how you create your password, how you you safely browse online without clicking random links that appear on different areas and in digital platforms. Also, how do you protect yourself in terms of, now we have multi-factor authentication, things like what you have, who you are, where you are, passwords, those OTPs, biometrics, your locations, and so on. So we need to make sure that we utilize all of those so that we can protect ourselves before we wait for someone else from outside to come and protect us. And the bottom line here is that protection of everyone's, it has to begin with an individual. You need to protect yourself and then wait for other people to come and join hands to make sure that you remain protected and secure. That's the final things I wanted to voice up on this particular panel. And I hope everyone will browse safely. Everyone will give priority on protecting their data and make sure that they remain secure, and all of us end up being secure. Because if one of us is not secure, then definitely that will be a backdoor for others also not to be secure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. Thank you very much, Arinola. I think we have had quite an interesting session here, hearing about Icann, and also hearing specifically also about data protection and online safety. So Arinola, I think she has emphasized the need for us from Africa to participate in the Icann process and make sure that the African voice is heard, because the experiences of Africa from Africa are unique, and we cannot just rely on people from other parts of the world to be able to elucidate those experiences for us. A few challenges in participating in Icann, maybe the travel expenses are there, but with determination, some of these things can be overcome. I'm sure if you participate in some of those Icann committees or some of those Icann areas, there can be funding, particularly for travel. Myself, specifically, I've been a member of the CSG, and normally, if you're a member of the CSG, there is a travel that is available, travel and accommodation expenses that is available to Icann meetings. It's only unfortunate over the last 2 years or so, we have had the COVID-19 pandemic, so we have had to rely on virtual online meetings. But when the meetings open, if you are in many of the things that occur in Icann, if you are a keen participant, there are always opportunities for your travel expenses to be taken care of. Otherwise, we have been encouraged that the acceptance level within Icann is high. So you can rest assured that if you join Icann and start participating in the activities there is an onboarding committee, particularly for BC people. You'll always be welcomed there and made to feel at home as you learn the ropes of participating in the BC and in Icann in general. We have also heard from our friend Yusuf, the digital forensics expert. He says he has learned a lot interacting with people within Icann and enhancing his digital forensics skills. And he has also told us that a lot of things that are happening in cyberspace with cybercrime, DNS abuse, and so on, they are borderless. So within Africa, we have to make sure that we are also looking at those issues to see the way we can be able to mitigate them. And then finally, we have been run through how we can become members of Icann BC and start participating in Icann issues. So we look forward that maybe from this call, we are going to come up with a few more members joining Icann BC and giving Africa continent more voting rights within the Icann BC. I've already dedicated that my own small company will be coming on board courtesy of this summit. So with that, I think I can only thank all of you who have participated for being very patient with the program, and also thank our panelists for giving us a lot of insights, and also thank Secretariat for organizing this the session so well. So with that, I think I go back to the chair and the secretariat. I can hand over back to you. Thank you so much for your attention with our session. Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siganga.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Waudo. Thanks, Arinola. Thanks, Kileo. But before I close, I think I've seen a question coming from Nandipa on the chat. I don't know if Nandipa wants to raise the question herself. Can we give her some rights to be able to voice her question before we close? I think we've got just 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yes, that's okay.
We just have 1 minute. Secretariat, can we give Nandipa Nzaluba a right to voice her question?
Good morning, good day. I'm Nandi Panzaloba, as it has been indicated. My question, I'm not sure the one that Thabo wants me to speak to. I think the issues I was raising around membership and participation per se have been answered, and I'm very grateful. And like our facilitator has said, we want the voice of Africa and the expertise to define a number of things. But the critical one, maybe because of the military space that I've managed to be in for quite some time, the issue, Kileo, of databases and infrastructure. And I'm quite aware that we are dealing with the virtual space. But the issue of who owns that infrastructure, whether it's a private cloud or a public cloud, as a function of dealing with security features, as a function of manipulation of that information. And I will take a simple one, the one of the space that we are in now. Someone owns the data that we are dealing with now. I'm talking about owning as in owning, not the person who is collaterally benefiting, who happen to be the user. Now, how do we deal with this challenge? Because your data is not necessarily yours, because the infrastructure you are using is coming from somewhere, and this somewhere is configured in a way that there are features that you will not know that will release your information without you knowing. How do we deal with those issues? Because they deal then with your territorial integrity, deals with your data as a state, your data as a person, your data as an entity. And it then transcends to the role of Icann in terms of a number of infringements that can take place because of us not defining the real issue around ownership as a function of data in the virtual space.
I think that is for you, Yusuph. Please unmute.
Okay. I think it might be very long to explain this whole thing, because we have data that are linked on our mobile devices, and we have the challenges whereby you find individual installing different applications that some of them are malicious. We have heard the story whereby these malicious apps that we install in our devices taking our data and utilize them in a bad way. I participated in several task forces where we were looking into these mobile applications, how they bring troubles to our devices, how they steal our data, how they manipulate and misuse our data. So there, if you want to resolve that problem, we do encourage people to know their applications, to make sure that they protect their devices, to make sure that the data that they give out on this particular application, let's say you're utilizing application X, and it want to access your location, want to access your photo, want to access your files, then you need to be careful with those kind of permission that you provide to this particular application, because later on they may misuse those data, and because you already give them permission, it will become difficult for us even to take action. I have several examples I could share with you, but in the interest of time, I think I will skip them. But we have those challenges. That's why you need to know your application, you need to make sure that you protect yourself, and those kind of things need to be well done to your devices. But also when it comes to things like Zoom, for example, that she spoke about, we do have mechanism that we put so that we can protect our meetings, we can protect our data that flows from one point to another, to make sure at least they are secured. And of course, those people where for example, the infrastructure that we're using, then that's when it comes the story of GDPR in the European Union. We have the Data Protection Act, data protection laws, for example, in Kenya, it has been passed, in Tanzania, it's in progress, and many other countries as well have passed in African continent, and of course, the world at large. So that's when now we look at how we can protect this data. In case of these data, for example, you realize someone has misused them, or someone get to utilize them without your consent or something like that, then the law will be there to protect your data. So we have those three angles, as I've mentioned. Our own mobile devices. To summarize, you need to know your application that you're utilizing in your mobile devices. You need to know the permission you're giving to these device applications that you're engaging with. What are they taking? For example, today when you get to Zoom meeting, you will hear they will alert you that this meeting will be recorded. This meeting is going this way. This is what is happening. And of course, that one, if you don't want your data to be there, then they give you option to allow it or not to allow, or proceed or not to proceed. So they give us all these alerts, but unfortunately, some of us, we don't really look into it, and we end up finding our data in the wrong hands without us being aware that our data are in wrong hands. So we have a role to play, and of course, the critical, those people also, we have our role to play, and also those people holding those infrastructure, we normally bind them through this Data Protection Act or data protection laws and so on that we have in different countries. Thank you.
Thank you. So back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Much appreciated, Yusuph Kileo, for that. I don't know if Nandipa's hand is the old hand, or she wants to have a follow-up question with regards to that. Nandipa, are you covered?
Thabo, I wanted to work with Yusuph in terms of the matter that probably concerns me, because it's my area of research. The issue, Yusuph, of drone technology. Work with me there, because you've related to the issues and the challenges we have. But let's take drone technology, because we're talking about here a connected society. Drone technology and how then your data gets taken. Let's take law enforcement, which is the area I'm focusing on. You're going to have drone technology being used, and it's used for good purposes. But how that information then is kept in terms of the 8 principles, or in terms of the GDPR principles, and even how then it gets abused and misused. The question I still have, Yusuph, is that the intersection of the data protection laws and cyber crime and cybersecurity, that gray space there, how do we deal with it?
As I've said, actually, I'm open to work with you closely if you want me to do so, and I'm always open to that. I love collaborating. I love sharing information intelligence with different people across anywhere. So we can always, as I've said, have a long discussion after this particular meeting. We can always discuss many other things. I don't have a problem with that. But as I've said, we have a lot of challenges. And I think South Africa, we have POP here, we have DGPR, we have a lot of laws that are protecting our data, and they're there to make sure that our data are not misused or so. But again, having these laws or regulation in place is one thing, but also we need to do a lot of other things like awareness, because some of these data, we ourselves leak them outside. We ourselves end up giving out without knowing that we're giving our data, and how are they going to use it? It's hard for us to know. So it's all about equipping ourselves with knowledge, all about awareness, all about capacity building, collaborating, coming up with different mechanisms that they can help us meet our targets, having the right tools in places to make sure that we mitigate these challenges of data loss. Because we have tools called DLP, data loss prevention tools, that we can always make use of them to help us not to lose our data, or to alert us if the data have been tampered or anything, something like that. So there are many things that we need to add on top of these regulations and laws in places. And as I've said, I'm always open to talk and discuss with you at length whenever you have time, and I don't have issues with that. So we can always talk and share more and more, and I'm open to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuph. I think you can do that. Link that's the gist and the spirit of this engagement that we actually have. At the end of the day, networking. We network from the north of Africa to the south of Africa, central, east, and west. We share the knowledge and share experiences. It's very critical that we do it in that manner. So I encourage you and Nandipa to link up with Yusuph Kileo with regards to the matters, and you can actually have a more deep dive discussions with regards to the matter. I'm going to actually close on, there's two questions that are there. One is from Eric Kimai. He's asking, governments are trying to tax transactions through the use of internet. What pressure can be put on governments all over Africa to stop from trying to discourage the use of digital space instead of encouraging it? I think that was the question. I gather this question might have been asked at some point in our sessions in one form or another. There was someone who raised it, I think, in one of the panelist discussions with regards to saying governments actually at times, and I think the example was where there is equipment that has been donated and government then goes ahead and wants to tax such things. But in this instance, it is spoken from a digital perspective where there is a tax transactions through the use of an internet. I don't know if we would like to deal with it with this Arinola and Yusuph. Just 30 seconds, 20 seconds amongst yourselves. 10 seconds quickly to just maybe respond. Arinola, take you first.
Siganga can also contribute to that because he has also quite good experience to it.
Okay, Dr. Waudo.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know. You know, I think when we are dealing with governments, I think the best thing to do is just maybe give them information. I don't think we can go any further than that. When we are doing lobbying with governments, we can only give them information, and then after that, you know, the work that of policy making depends on them. But they have to have the correct information. If governments don't have the correct information, then they are going to make wrong decisions. They are going to make wrong policies, including these ones of digital taxation, which we are having it in Kenya. In fact, right now it's being streamlined to include the whole of East Africa, because, you know, East Africa, we have a common tax regime within East Africa. I have a friend of mine who's working actually on trying to unify this tax regime for digital taxes. He's doing a research. He's based in Arusha. So my answer would be that the best we can do is just to engage with the policy makers and give them the the correct information, including this one, which is alluded to here, which indicates that if you tax digital transactions, you're actually dissuading people from becoming digitally engaged rather than encouraging that. And that can go a long way in also making Africa to fall behind compared to other countries in the use of the technology. So my answer would be just use the information, give the policymakers the correct information. Those of you who have been around, I think, for a long time will remember that in the very early days when technology was coming, there was always something to draw it back to the policymakers. In fact, even something as simple as computers, when they first came, a lot of policymakers had been misadvised that these gadgets were going to bring unemployment, so they should be discouraged. So a lot of governments actually set up very high taxes on technology like computers and so on and so forth. When the mobile phones came again, there was a lot of discouragement about their usage because it was not understood how they can help in meeting economic goals. So all these things that are being done by policymakers, the policymakers are not usually very well informed. It is for us as IT professionals, as people who have better information, to inform the policymakers at governmental level so that the decisions that they are making, the policies that they are making, are driven by information, by the correct information. So that would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated, Dr. Waudo. Much appreciated for that. I will close it at that with regards to the question. I saw the hand of Oluwasien Oluboyo. Are you covered? I see your hand is down now. Are you covered? Mr. Oluboyo, are you covered? Okay, that's good. Let us proceed. I've got the two last hands. Then I'm closing. Dr. Jameson Olufuye and Mr. Segun Olugbiye. So,
okay,
Dr. Jameson, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Just very briefly, we need to note that there is nothing we can really do about it because we know live virtually is the same live, physically. So whatever applies physically applies online. So if you pay taxes physically, eventually you pay taxes online on products. It's already, happening around the world, even in the US, and it differs from state to state. So if you are making online purchases, of course, applicable tax in that region based on your IP addressing will apply. So it is something we need to prepare for. Government need money at all times to build infrastructure, to maintain it as well, and it's very expensive. So, but at first, there should be no taxing until we really have sufficient people online. So once we have sufficient people online, then government will definitely look at how to also get more funding to sustain the infrastructure. Infrastructure has been declared as critical infrastructure. They have to be sustained, and maintained, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Much appreciated for that input. Mr. Olubile? Can we enable Mr. Olubile to be able to flight his question? He's got his hand up. Yeah, you can unmute Mr. Olubile.
Yes, you can speak now.